Council members, it is AMC Jedi Council, the 5th episode. Man, am I excited. I am Christian Harloff, a.k.a. Darth Harloff, and joining me as always is the lovely council. The first council member is Queen Amadala. You know her, Maud Garrett. Hello, Maud.
Thank you. The council is now in session.
It sure is. And next to her is the one we call Obi-John Kenobi, AMC's editor-in-chief, John Campion.
Hey guys, it's so excited not only for episode 5, but later tonight, the three of us at the table get to go see my second most anticipated movie of the year, Avengers Age of Ultron.
How you feeling about that? Are you super excited, Maud?
Oh, I meant two of us at the table, not three. Sorry, I meant two.
Oh man, that's a bitter taste in my mouth. It's going to wash away my depression.
That's all right. Yes, we are going to see that film. But however, this is not about Marvel today. It is all about Star Wars, and we're super excited to talk about Star Wars today. And one of the main reasons, and we'll get into it a little later, next week is going to be a very special episode. Celebration, Star Wars Celebration is next week from Anaheim, and we will all be there. A little more on that later. But first, if you're just joining us for the first time, we have a couple segments. And the first segment on this show is simply Star Wars news stories. We talk about all the latest in the movies. Could be about the spin-offs, could be about the original trilogy, whatever it is, we talk about it, and the Queen will break it down. Miss Amadala, what do we have first?
And the Queen breaking it down. Fricka. Let's go. All right, let's get digital. That's right.
No.
All 6 movies will be available to purchase digitally from tomorrow at 12:01 a.m. Now, you can purchase any of the 6 movies. If you want to get them individually, it'll be $19.95, or you can bundle them all together for $99.95. There's also plenty of bonus features. What isn't mentioned or confirmed yet, though, what version of the movies will be able to purchase digitally, Christian?
Now, we've had a few conversations about this, and I know when John will get more into it in a second, he's pretty sure it's the special edition ones, and I don't necessarily disagree with him, but I don't know. I think it'd be kind of interesting and fun because of all the rumors that have happened about the original versions of the movie coming out. The reasons why is because Fox still has a lot of the deals, and I know that they had to make some kind of a deal to get these done in the first place, but I think that it's going to be the special editions. But I think this is a brilliant move, especially right before Celebration, especially right before The Force Awakens comes out, getting people who maybe are maybe the younger kids who are so into the Marvel world and the comic book world to say, hey, don't forget about Star Wars because it's coming out soon. I love it, think it's very smart, but John, how do you feel?
Well, I don't necessarily feel this is a good move because this is a move that should have been done 5 years ago.
I agree.
This is far overdue. So I'm not going to give them kudos for doing something that they should have done years ago.
But they didn't have. But Disney didn't have it back then, though. So they kind of. I mean, this is.
I know. But somebody did at one point years ago, and they should have done it. And then Disney have had their hands on this property for over a year. It should have been done a long time ago. So I mean, yes, it is about time that this happens because I remember this was really highlighted because just a few days before they announced that they were going to release these films in a digital platform, I had a friend of mine, and she and I were going to get together for you, and she had never seen the original trilogy. We're like, yes, but then I realized you can't actually stream them from anywhere. You can't even buy them online anywhere. I got to go back to my other place. I got to go and find my discs and bring them back in, all this kind of stuff. So that was unfortunate. Now, hey, Dennis, can we bring that image back up again? As far as what version of it, I think the posters give it away. These are the special edition posters. And remember, as far as George Lucas is concerned, this is the only version of Star Wars that exists now. As far as George Lucas is concerned, this is Star Wars. These films are the Star Wars universe. Now, I've had a lot of discussions with some friends. They say, yes, but John, now Disney owns them. Yes, but I feel very, very good and very, very, not good. I actually feel horrible about it. I feel very certain that when George Lucas was going to bequeath Star Wars out, I'm going to be shocked, although thrilled, but I'll be shocked to find out that he didn't make as a part of that deal that those Star Wars films, the originals that were in theater, those don't exist anymore. This is Star Wars. And I'm going to be shocked if George Lucas didn't put that in his deal. I'm positive he put that in his deal. So I don't think Disney, while they would be highly motivated to want to release the originals, people like me, idiots, who would be willing to shell out like $500 for one Blu-ray copy.
Don't say that.
I know. Sorry, I take that back. $20 I'd be willing to pay for a Blu-ray of the original. I mean, look, they would make tons of money. Tons. Now, the other reason that I'm feeling absolutely positive that this is the special edition, not the originals, besides all of that, is the fact that if it were the originals, Disney would be the worst marketing and PR company in the world that they were way out ahead of this and pronouncing and trumpeting the original classics for the first time ever on Blu-ray, blah, blah, and they're not doing that.
Right.
So, I mean, all that put together, I think, is a pretty big mountain of evidence that what we're getting is the special editions. And we'll talk a little bit more about the special editions a little bit later.
Mon?
The special edition's Canon. That's the movie that is
Yes.
set in.
Yes.
There you go. So that's they're so Canon focused at the moment. I agree. Disney's doing everything to revive everyone's love for Star Wars. We're getting the Lego version that for like the kids to kind of remind them what happened in the first 6 movies. We're getting new video games. We've got new canon. We've got new comics. We've got everything. The first thing that they should have done is re-release these movies and have them available streaming-wise. And you're right, this flew under the radar. I think it was like 3 or 4 days ago was the first time they were like, yeah, you can pre-order them. You can, we'll talk about it. And now that the official announcement's been out, it's like, and in 7-9 hours' time, they can be yours. And it's like, whoa.
See, I really enjoyed the way that they did this because I think of all the other releases of everything else they've released because they really what Disney has done well is focus on the properties that they want to focus on. And at Comic-Con last year, what didn't we get? Anything on The Force Awakens. What did we get? Tons of Rebels. What went through they really focused on Rebels hard. Right now, there's nothing out there yet. There's books and there's comics and stuff, but the main property now, they're focusing on these digital copies. And we're still 7 months away from The Force Awakens. So that's enough time for people to purchase these things, watch them again, watch them one more time to really get into it. That's my opinion, and I think that's why they would do it. I don't mind that because if they would have released it a month before, then they're not doing it. But the fact that they got it right before Celebration, and I wouldn't be surprised, or I don't agree with you, John, that I don't think that they're ever going to release the original trilogy. I think that George Lucas would be silly to just put that in there and not get his $4.4 billion.
He was silly to make the special editions in the first place.
Yeah, but that's not walking away from $4.4 billion or whatever it was because of one little thing. But I would not be surprised if they announced at Celebration that they're releasing it. Do I think that's going to happen? Not necessarily, but I wouldn't be shocked.
Look, there are over 70 bonus features when you do buy the box set or all up.
Right.
So I kind of would love a scene selection where it was like, this is how the original went, and then
wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, that's what I would like, and I think that's a smart move because if they own the content at all, even if it's just the snippet of the changes that are made, I personally would love that. But I disagree with now being the time to get these movies out there. They should have done it before New Canon, before we saw the first bit of Rebels, before before they changed the focal point. They should really have pushed the foundations of Star Wars. The 6 movies were the original canon. That is it. That is all that they've kept. They've wiped everything else. That's when they should have pushed it. Because now it's like people can watch it time and time again leading up to The Force Awakens. No, we can't. I'm trying to read a book. I'm reading a comic every 3 days. I'm trying to consume all this other canon that's being thrown at me. I had a good, however, when the first deal was made, 2013, I had a year of stretching my limbs, like warming up for new stuff.
Yeah.
That's when it should have happened.
Although I will say this, though, I do appreciate the fact that they announced it and released it within days. I do appreciate the fact that it wasn't a matter of, the Star Wars streamers are coming and we got to wait 4 more months for an already overdue product. Right. So I do kind of dig the fact that they said, hey guys, guess what? We're coming. And it's coming in like 72 hours.
Right.
I kind of like the way they did that.
Yeah. Okay, so that's my opinion. That's their opinion. What's your opinion? Go ahead and comment and let us know how you feel about the digital copies of Star Wars. First of all, will you be getting them? And second, do you think that it was too early, too late? Comment below and let us know. Next one, Maud, what do we have?
Well, I just want to... Are we going to have a screening party? Are we going to be streaming? And
well, they
watch
are.
them all again?
The funny thing is that they're going to be screening all 6 movies at Celebration. So the question is, are we going to go see them there as well, too? But that's something to talk about in the Celebration talk. Okay. What do we have next in the Star Wars news stories? Speaking
of Celebration, The Force Awakens teaser poster will be unveiled at Anaheim for Celebration. Next week? In a week's time. Word is they'll show a new trailer too. But watch John's face as it changes into a look of kind of impossible knowing because he doesn't know if that's confirmed yet since confirmed is the devil's word. Christian, John, take it away.
Well, the funny thing is that I'd say close to a year ago, I got a tip on Schmoes Know about Drew Struzan coming back to do the posters. And the person I heard from was pretty in the know. So I said, I think it's going to happen. I think they're not only going to debut the poster, they're going to debut that Struzan indeed did the artwork. I can't wait to see it. I'm super excited. I think it's going to get a huge pop from the audience when they show it. I think it's going to blow up the internet when it happens, when everyone's going to be sharing it, and it'll be in everybody's Instagram feed once it happens. So I am very excited about this, but I think it's not much of a surprise. We've talked about it on the show that we thought that was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
John, how do you feel about it?
Well, yeah. Well, number one, it's not confirmed, but it's happening. I mean, we all know it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's not a big surprise. And I am chomping at the bit. I cannot wait to see this poster. I was so excited to hear about, he came back, he was going to do them again. I hope that's true. I mean, I've just always assumed that it's true. So we will know as soon as we lay eyes on this thing because his style is so distinctive. We're going to know right away. And, whether the full trailer is played at things or not, I know there's also a report going around that they are playing the trailer at it. Once again, Disney has not confirmed that or said that's the case. I've also been told by somebody that is not me. I've just been told by somebody who could be very wrong. I got told by somebody last week that the original thing that I had heard that they are going to be showing a part of the trailer is what's actually going to be happening. But that, once again, is also not confirmed. So fingers crossed that they show the full trailer at that. But that aside, the poster itself is also something I think is really, really something to be excited about.
Do you think it's going to be like my T-shirt? Do you think it's going to be like the team kind of around there, and then elements of every single one of these trailers we've grown to love?
I think you're going to get Kylo Ren in there.
His face?
Yeah, I think you're going to get Daisy Ridley, John Boyega, Oscar Isaac. I think it's going to really focus on the new
cast.
Because Kylo Ren's face is not going to be a secret for much longer.
Right. And even it got leaked somewhere with like a toy. Someone on a message board somewhere had posted some image that they released in a toy, and it had his mask, and it looked so much like Darth Revan, which is an Old Republic character, but it looked so much like, and I was so excited to finally see Kylo Ren. But Maud, are you excited to see the poster?
Very excited to see the poster. I want another T-shirt. Come on, let's make it happen.
Another T-shirt.
I don't know if we're going to see the full trailer. I'd love to see the full trailer, but I will even take a snippet at this stage. I just want to see something.
All right.
Please.
What is next?
Alrighty, number 3. Rumour has it that Lydon Sutcliffe has been cast in Rogue One. Who, you may ask? That name won't ring a bell, but it's interesting to note that Lydon is 7'1". He is a tall man. So we're guessing that the role he may be playing in Rogue One could be that of a tall person or Wookiee, maybe.
Look at the size of that dude.
Yeah, that's a big dude.
He would make me feel short.
I mean,
wow.
He really would. Look at the size of that dude. I mean, he is huge. And one would assume not only he could be a new species. Who knows? But
he's a Wookiee.
You would assume he's a Wookiee. But is he the Wookiee? I hope not. I hope he is not Chewbacca. Because one of the things I didn't like about the prequels is how they had to Chewbacca. Yeah, he knew Yoda. He didn't have to know Yoda.
Yeah, so forced.
There was no reason they had to do that. So, nice pun.
That was also not. I am nailing all these puns, and I don't even mean to do them.
But I would like to see him play another Wookiee now, going back into canon. If there is a Wookiee in the Darth Vader series that is partners with Boba Fett.
His name again?
I don't remember yet. And he actually pops up in the new Vader, which we'll talk about as well, too. And I would not be surprised if he shows up as that character, who in turn also works with Boba Fett. That would be pretty cool. I don't need to know who this guy is because I see the size of him. I go, that's cool. John?
Yeah, he's either that guy. He's either the one Wookiee who we see in the Darth Vader comic book, which I think is a great theory and not one that I had considered, to be honest. So I think you nailed it. I think it's either him or he's not a Wookiee.
Right.
Like, honestly, I think we're all just jumping a little bit too quick to assume he's going to be Wookiee just because he's a tall guy. I think there's a lot of other things. If anything that one of the prequels introduced to us is that there are billions and billions of different types of species, and it could be just, Wookiees aren't the only tall guys in the galaxy. Now, that being said, that's exactly all I was going to say. And then you mentioned the Wookiee in the Darth Vader comic.
How cool would it be to see a bounty hunter Wookiee? Are you kidding me?
Well, it makes sense for too many reasons. One, we're being introduced to a new Wookiee character in these things, but also the timeline from what we know, and we could be wrong, but from what we know, the timeline fits. If this is about a bunch of bounty hunters that are going to be doing on this thing, then it is not outside the stretch of possibility that pairing right there could fit into that. I'm thinking you're right.
Yeah.
You just totally changed my mind, just like that. I'm thinking you're right.
Mode?
Oh, well, let's just keep in mind that Darth Maul, who looked super tall on screen, was still shorter than me.
Oh, Ray Park?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But not
Ray's a
this,
short
but
guy.
look at that guy. You can tell that guy's a monster.
So yeah, I think the only time they have really tall people is when they're really hairy as well, and it's a Wookiee. Like Peter Mayhew, we know for a fact that he's not really 100% in health right now.
Right.
So he could be playing Chewbacca as like this is a couple of years down the track. Don't want to sign and get locked into sort of like 7 years perhaps when he's not. You just can't commit to that.
Well, that makes sense too. Look, let's say let's assume the context that Peter Mayhew, that this is Chewbacca. Let's take that for a second.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get an older Chewbacca in the new. Although I'm not really, I can't remember
How
what the
do they
lifespan.
age?
Yeah, I can't remember the lifespan of Wookiees.
300, I think.
Whoa.
I
But
think
still,
so.
he's at least 30 years older than he was, right?
Yeah.
So for Star Wars Episode 7, you don't have to have a lot of action with Chewbacca. That's not him being in a pilot seat, But if you wanted to have Chewbacca in like a Rogue One where he's younger and maybe has to do a lot more physical action, then you can go ahead and get a guy like that and fit him in.
They could use him. I just hope they don't, because from where
I
that is,
agree. I
because
totally agree
Because
with
where
you.
he is in the timeline, he should be doing smuggling runs with Han at this point.
Yeah.
Like,
I know, buddy. I know.
I don't want to see Han. I don't want to see Chewie. I don't need to see them. I want to see.
You'll see Han and Chewie.
You think so?
Yeah.
In Rogue One?
In Rogue One?
Oh, Rogue One.
Rogue
Yeah, I'm talking
One.
Rogue One. Rogue One.
No,
Yeah,
Episode 7. No, that's pretty much established.
Yeah. No, Rogue One. This is where this guy's going to pop up. So we'll see. But anyway, it's pretty exciting that they're casting this behemoth. All right, next mod.
I'm totally just looking up
The lifespan of a Wookiee.
that
Yes.
and the name of the new bounty hunter Wookiee.
Oh, okay.
These
Oh,
are
yeah.
things that are very important to me right now at the wrong place in the show. Number 4, if you like watching Star Wars movies on the big screen, good news for you. Disney and IMAX have renewed their deal through 2017, meaning movies like The Force Awakens, Rogue One, and Episode 8 will all be shown in the IMAX theaters.
Yes, I love it. 3D, I could not care less about. 3D, I'm glad if they're shooting in 3D, it doesn't matter. Look, Dennis and I saw Furious 7 a little while ago, and it was in IMAX, and it just makes everything so much better when it's shot in IMAX and when it looks in IMAX, and the way that just the sound, everything about it, like Furious 7 opened up the IMAX countdown with like screeching tires, and it was just numbers, and everybody was like, "Whoa!" Can you imagine just a lightsaber sound or just a visual of how things are going to look in that grand scale? Because even whatever you think about Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, in the regular theater, when that opening space battle happens, it's still so grand, and you're sucked into it.
Absolutely,
You're sucked
it is.
into
Yeah.
it. So to see something more in the vein of the original trilogy in IMAX for both this Rogue One and Episode 8. Oh yeah, I mean, if this was movie talk, bye.
Yeah,
Really?
I'm
shocked.
Don't get me wrong. Like, here's the thing. If they had announced that the new Star Wars movies were all shot in IMAX and playing in IMAX, that would be a different thing. Because I remember watching The Dark Knight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was playing on an IMAX screen, and it looked real good. But those couple of scenes they actually shot in IMAX, it was a night and day difference.
Right.
You could totally tell the difference. So, am I excited about this? Am I pro this? Yep, I'm pro this. I am pro this. But my excitement for it is tempered a bit because it is that. What's the best word I'm looking for? It's the adapted IMAX. They're shooting it as it is. They're going to display it in IMAX.
Are they
It
shooting
still looks better.
Aren't they shooting some scenes in IMAX? I'm pretty sure
I
they
have
shot.
not heard that they're shooting
I'm
anything.
pretty sure they
in IMAX.
shot some
Ooh.
scenes of The Force Awakens in IMAX.
Okay, and that would be cool. But
Yeah.
once again, I'd be more excited if they shot the whole damn movie
That's
in
so
IMAX.
hard to do. They
And
can't do
expensive.
that. Right,
and a
right.
pain in the butt.
Right.
Absolutely it is. But because of that, I am pro it, but I'm not super enthusiastic about it.
What?
Wookiees live to 400.
Okay.
I was close.
Yeah,
I was close.
so they're adults by 18.
Okay.
And then they are middle-aged by 301 to 350.
Oh, wow.
And then they're vulnerable at around 400.
Wow, so
How's
they could
that?
even, wow.
And the female Wookiees have 6 breasts.
at
The
that.
things you learn.
Wow, it's like,
As far as the IMAX conversation goes, I remember, I think it's so effective
Yeah.
in an IMAX theatre. I was watching Mission Impossible when they were scaling the building in Dubai. I got vertigo. Sitting in my seat, I got
Yeah.
this wave. I was like, "Whoa!" and I kind of felt nauseous that I was going to fall over and like die. So imagine seeing these space battles on an IMAX screen. Like, this is going to be so good. So yeah, I'm the same. Bye.
yeah, okay. And that's it. That is the end of the Star Wars movie news this week. Moving on, we have another section on here where we talk about everything that's going on in the Star Wars universe, books, games, it It is all of it, and it is all canon, and it is called What's the Deal with Canon? That's right. Everything in the Star Wars universe we are going to talk about, whether it be the comic books, games, video games, all that stuff, blah, 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 blah. We will cover it, and we're going to start doing that. But first, I watched AMC Movie Talk yesterday. And
Oh, here we go.
two guys.
Here we go.
It's cat hiss time. Because the thing is, look, I understand, and I want to say, John,
Why don't you sum up what it is you saw before you jump
I will, because
I'm just going to look at the vein in your forehead right
what
now.
it was, and we've talked about it on this show, and it's just a matter, John's made it very clear that he is worried about, do you smell the multiple layers in canon? And I get it, and I understand the concerns, and I understand that you're just worried that there's too much that they can contradict themselves down the line. And what I thought you said yesterday that was brilliant, and I agree with you, was the fact that you said that if someone like Matthew Vaughn comes in, has a take, he is now handcuffed, because if he wants to change something, he can't.
He's beholden to the comic books.
It's a great point. But what I will say to you guys at this point is, be a tad optimistic here, because you're already shooting it down. You're just saying it can't work. There's no way it can work somewhere down the line, and it might. You very well might be true and be right. And 5 years from now, they might. But right now, they're not, and they're putting out stuff. And there is a story group with both Hidalgo and Leland Shee that they know that it's different for somebody, like when someone's coming in to pitch a movie, say it'd be a Matthew Vaughn. They're like, look, this is where the storyline has gone down thus far, because these guys, that is their job. That is their sole purpose in Lucasfilm, is to know exactly what is going on in timeline. I applaud them for being the only medium to do this so far. It is a daunting task. Absolutely, it is.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Now, the thing though, I've never been a huge comic book fan. Okay, like I read the G.I. Joe comics, the Marvel G.I. Joe comics, which are amazing, and I read X-Men when I was younger. And I take nothing away from comic book fans. They're the most dedicated fans I've ever met. I went into a Batman panel that our friend Tiffany Smith was hosting at WonderCon. And I was lost from a lot of the stuff that they were talking about with multiple timelines and during this run and then
Earth
this
Earth that.
so many layers that it just like this doesn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of Batman. It does for the comic book fans. It absolutely does. You can read it, and I'm not saying you can't read it, be super entertaining. Go, that's a great written book. Absolutely, and I understand why people are so passionate about it. But what's so fascinating for me with this and with canon is that now I can go and I can find out all of this history, and it all means something to me reading it. Now, I know that down the line, if we run into the problem, then let's tackle the problem when it comes. I just don't want to go, you guys are doing it wrong right away. We don't know that yet. We've set up a certain amount of stories. Nothing's been contradicted yet, and I agree with Maude to where they are going to
6 months in, nothing has been contradicted yet.
Right, and that's my point, is that we're 6 months in. So instead of saying they're not going to do it, there's no way. Maybe they can. Maybe that they knew. There's no way that they said, you know what, we have. Like, again, a daunting task here, that this is going to be a lot. They have to sign off on this and go, are we going to be able to do this? And they know. And even when I got to shoot off a question to Greg Wiseman, who wrote Kanan, and he was one of the guys on Rebels, who started Rebels. And I asked him about it. He's like, they know exactly what they want to do. And a lot of stuff like, you're privy to a certain amount of information. So don't think that guys who are writing Aftermath don't know certain events that are leading into The Force Awakens that they should know so they don't contradict. I just think that there's a laid out plan. And I'm not taking away from what you guys said, because I think it could be an issue. I just want to remember that we're all fans, that we're getting this information out right away. And it's too easy to go, this isn't going to work later. Let's see what happens until it does.
To me, it's way easier to be an optimistic duck and stick your head in the sand and go, it'll be fine now. Maybe could it work? Absolutely, 100% maybe it could work. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2 might win Best Picture at the Academy Awards. It might. It's unlikely, but it's might.
Yeah.
However unlikely. My big concern, like, I am worried about contradictions, yes, but that's not the biggest thing, because stopping contradictions, because you've got guys like Pablo and they're overseeing that to put the brakes on things to stop contradictions, yes. But what I was talking about the other day is the point that you brought up. My big concern is now you're going to have, as we move, look past the 6 months that we're in, or 4 months that we're in,
the
really.
Edgar Wright effect, essentially.
And look to the 3 or 4 or 5 year mark, when there's 200 issues of comic books out, and there's 40 novels, and there's whatever. Now we're in a position, this is what I'm concerned about, and I use the word concern, okay? What I'm concerned about is now you got guys who are not storytellers, Pablo, his partner, who are going to tell the storytellers what they can and cannot do. That to me is the biggest concern, is the handcuffs that are going to be creatively put on filmmakers as we move into episode 9, as we move into the 4th standalone film, things like that, where Pablo is going to have to be ringing Matthew Vaughn's phone and say, hey, look, I know you want to do this, but in issue 17 of the Darth Vader run in 2015, Vader actually said this, which contradicts what you want to do in the movie, so now you can't do that in the movie. And, the more I'm thinking about it, the old system, I applauded, and I still do. I applauded Disney labeling all the what we used to call extended universe.
What's Legends now?
Yeah,
right?
they relabeled it Legends. I applauded them for putting a label and saying, "Look, let's just be clear. None of this is actually canon," and it never was in the first place anyway. I applauded that, but let's look at what they did before. They had the movie universe, they had some cartoons, they had some comic books, they had some novels, and it was pretty much understood that these were not all canon, whatever.
It was fan fiction almost.
And it developed a rabid fan base like none other the world has ever seen, and it worked. Now they've decided to do away with all that and say anything new that comes out has to be part of canon, and that does worry me. Putting a comic book that 18,000 people might read on the same authoritative level as one of the movies that are going to come out, and what has to stay true and consistent with each other, to me that is a concern. And I don't think we will see a problem with that right now. I don't think we're going to see a problem with it in Rogue One, but I am concerned that once we get further into the universe, once we get into the hundreds of comic issues that have been put out, once we get up to 100 novels that have come out, the movies and the creators there are going to have their handcuffs. I believe one or two things are going to happen. No, I believe one thing is going to happen. Disney realizes that's happening, and they're going to go back to the multiple level. They're going to go back to the multiple level of canon thing because they're going to have to. It's just too much to stay consistent with.
The reason why I don't think that's true is because, sorry, Mark, just because of the thousands of years of the difference between when you do something for like Marvel, where there's a specific time, thousands and thousands of years, you can tap into the Old Republic for a while. You can tap into the 20 years before Episode 1 and so far. But Maud, sorry, you were saying?
Well, I think the hard thing is when they do make the original trilogy, canon, and that's what you've got to base it off, and then the prequels come in. Already with those two, there have been major inconsistencies. The fact that the weapons and technology is better 20, 30 years before. It's like, well, that's understandable because this is the technology at the time of making these movies. But then you've got other things like someone in the comments said, can you talk about some of these inconsistencies? The fact that Padme was supposed to die at childbirth, but then Leia in the original trilogy says, I remember my mother. And it's like, click, now we've got to write into how that actually works because they're both canon. So it's kind of trying to patch these inconsistencies up. And if that's already happened in 3 movies versus 3 movies, we're going to see it happen a lot more. Like you say, the more material out there, the harder it is to kind of keep it all together.
But I think there's a difference there. Because that's George Lucas. George Lucas was way more focused on it. And from reading that book, How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, you saw the difference of the way he was when he made the original trilogy and when he made the prequels. He did not care about those inconsistencies. That's not what he was focused on. You're right. It is absolutely on the story team and every author to fix those and help those. And you've seen it so far in novels. Even Heir to the Jedi, which I just read, there's some things in there that tries to
patch it up.
And that's going to happen. But I think that wasn't a trying to, I got to make this right. I think those are just George Lucas errors, to be honest. And he had too many yes men around him.
But let's put it this way too. If this new law of everything has to be canon was in place, say for the past 25 years, right? We never would have had the single greatest storyline in the novels of all the Star Wars novels that we ever got. The Thrawn trilogy would never have existed. That never would have come about. Why? Because there would have been a canon Gestapo that says, no, you cannot write that because that does not fit in with where our overall story is going. And we would have missed out on the greatest Star Wars novels ever written. And that is what I fear. I fear that type of creative constraint, those types of handcuffs are really going to hurt us in ways that we probably won't even notice. And so I'm really, really worried about that. But you are not wrong when you say it could work. And as fans, we got to hold on to that hope. But
that's all
just because I'm hopeful, I'm not going to ignore the actual problems.
And I acknowledge your guys' concerns. I'm just saying for the time being, the stuff that they're giving us right now during this 6 months, I just want to embrace it as a fan.
Sure.
I really do. I want to take the good things out of it, like we just said with that Wookiee. The fact that we're able to do that and go, that could be that guy. That's some of the benefits. And if we're watching something, and watching from Mark Ellis's point too, he doesn't want to be lost as someone who doesn't read all that stuff. And I don't think that you will be, but I think that it's a little Easter egg and some fun if you have read the novels and all that stuff. So anyway, let's get to the first the first subject in canon.
Yes, we are reviewing Darth Vader issue 4. Obviously, we've done 1 through to 3. Last time we mentioned about 3, and just to remind you guys that there were 2 new droids. They are the evil twin version of C-3PO and R2-D2. But this time around, the adventures continue. Darth Vader is in the Emperor's bad books, and he's getting monitored quite strictly by Tarkin's replacement. But he's got his own mind to create his own secret droid army. Guys, what did you think of issue 4?
Well, I want to start with you, Maud, because you just blasted through both number 2, 3, and 4. What did you think? Because you're pretty fresh on those last couple.
I read it this morning.
Yeah, about the 2, 3, and 4, right?
Yeah.
So it's like basically you just watched a movie. How do you feel about the issues you've read?
Now, last time we spoke, you didn't like the addition of Dr. Af.
I like the addition to her. I didn't like some of her dialogue. I thought some of her dialogue, she's a little bit too fangirly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I like
kind of creepy, but creepy in a good way, but also creepy in a bad way.
Yeah, but she was kind of a parallel to Ahsoka Tano in good ways and bad ways. Good ways in the way that she's kind of looking to be like his new apprentice and learning from him in the dark ways. Bad ways in as far as the first time she appeared in the Clone Wars movie with the Sky Guy stuff and all that.
Yep.
But that's how I felt about her.
I liked her attitude towards death. She realizes she's just a pawn, and that Vader, as soon as she doesn't have a purpose anymore, he will kill her. So she's just like, make it quick. I don't want to get shot out into space and then just kind of like drift off until I die. I want you to just slice my neck off. And I thought, hey, that's kind of cool. But then at the same time, she's panting for him. She is.
Yeah, it really
absolutely.
is.
Gagging for it.
Yeah.
But I think she's very lonely.
She's
Did you like the
gagging
episode?
for it? It's not a term I've heard before. All right,
Oh,
I
really?
learn something new every day.
There you go.
Did you like issue 4?
In this particular issue, we see a returning character, which I think was in episode 1.
Episode 1. Issue 1, and we talked about like, who is that guy?
He's got to come back. He needs to serve a purpose. We won't tell you exactly what happens, but he does make a return. He's the guy with the cybernetic eye.
Right.
He's got information about the Emperor, because obviously the Emperor is still puppeteering.
Yep.
He's playing all these games. Vader has disappointed him completely. So he's going, well, if I can't rely on Vader, who can I rely on? And you realize that he's putting wheels in motion to find a replacement.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, which is why Vader's looking after himself. And it's like, well, I have to do something behind the Emperor's back.
So yay,
Just in
nay?
case. I'm really liking where this series is going. I think that the funny comic relief characters are 000, which, fun fact, is actually the 911 of Australia. You call 000
really?
when you
Really?
when you need emergency services. Fun fact. What's the evil R2? What's his
I
name
thought
again?
he was the 000, but you're right. It was the other one. I can't remember.
They are pretty much. They have the same personality of.
Just that they were Sith.
Except exactly. Except they I love that 000 is very, very polite still. Oh, wow, quite impressive. But I'm going to torture him until he dies.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
all right.
And the little one's pretty nasty too.
He's just got a
They're
flamethrower, rocket launcher, guns.
Set everybody
They're
on fire.
droid
Why not?
versions of Dexter. That's as soon as I started reading them, I see. Okay, I'm going to see him as Dexter. Totally works. Totally works. I
Yeah.
love those characters.
Did you like issue 4?
I have not read issue 4.
Oh, you missed it. Okay.
Oh,
No,
I've
the
got it
thing
right
came. Yeah, there it is right here. I can just read it right now. Here's the thing. It came out last night as I was in the midst of a ton of AMC movie news work, and then I was going to read it in between when we finished AMC movie talk today and started shooting this today. But all that time evaporated before you know it's time to start shooting the show. So I'm gonna have to read it like as soon as we're done here.
I agree with a lot of with most of Maud's points on the way that the series is progressing, and the characters have been great. The characters are written very well, and I actually like the dynamic between the scientist and Vader a lot more in this issue than I did in 3. The Doctor. But what I really liked was this is the first time that Vader's been back to Geonosis, and to where and if you when reading the Tarkin novel, you would know that they had such a hand in help creating the Death Star. You even learned to know that in I think Clones or whatever it was, and that planet is pretty much toast.
And
now.
that's canon. This is the canon conversation I was thinking, especially when reading this comic. It's like you have to keep these consistencies. It's like, oh, that's right. There's a droid workshop, or what is it? Warehouse, whatever it is, on Geonosis. Let's get them there. No, wait, that's been sterilized now. We can't.
Well, yeah, but maybe so.
Let's
maybe
get them
it
over
works.
to Alderaan. Like, oh no, that planet is disintegrated.
But that's also the beauty of the timeline is too. We don't know what time at one point maybe there's life that grew back, so we don't know. But as far as the way it does take place, that this planet is very different, and they mention a new weapon They mentioned some kind of new weapon. There have been rumors floating around that there's a new weapon in The Force Awakens. Whether or not these two tie together, I have no idea. But what it does show is that the Emperor got pissed off and said, well, whatever you did to design that Death Star didn't work out, so you're all dead now.
Yeah.
And Vader goes back there. He has a little bit of the recollection of him as Anakin and with Padme and all that. I thought that was really cool.
I truly... deeply.
Yeah, and you noticed they didn't quote anything.
Yeah,
I love that. It's just the imagery.
Terrible.
Just the imagery. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode. I like where this is going, and I loved the ending without spoiling anything. There's something that happens at the very end to where Vader simply says, set course. And why he does is great. And I love
I'm
it.
excited.
Yeah.
Now I'm excited to read it.
Okay, so what's next?
Really quickly, I just want to, after pottering around on Google, the bounty hunter Wookiee, his name is Black Chrysanthemum. Now, here's a fun thing about this canon and having so many creative inputs from so many different people. The author said, I regret calling him Black Chrysanthemum. It's awfully hard to say. He'll have a nickname at some point. It'll be very much like Chewbacca becomes Chewie.
Right.
So this is the thing. It's like, oh, I'll make the name that. Damn it, that's for life.
Yeah, but that's
He looks like a Wookiee version of Captain Jack Sparrow.
He does, but he
really does.
But he's nasty. This guy. He hasn't
Yeah.
said a word, and he's terrifying. Okay, Maud, what is next?
We are going now into another rumor around Rebels, which is a part of canon. Sarah Michelle Gellar is rumored to play a character based on Mara Jade. Now, according to Star Wars Time, Sarah Michelle Gellar will be voicing a new character based on Mara Jade, and the character's name will be Aileen Zahn, in honor of Timothy Zahn, the author who actually created Mara Jade. She will be an Inquisitor, but pretending to be a rebel in the series.
John, let's start with you. How do you feel if first of all, this rumor is true. Let's say it is. And she's playing a version of Mara Jade and also named Aileen Zahn.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
Come on, Eileen.
I think what they're going to do with this is that they're going to bring this character in, and she will be Mara Jade. I think they will
Named
at first. They will call her that, and
It's like
blah blah.
Fulcrum.
And then later, when her true identity comes out, her real name is actually Mara Jade. She is the Emperor's hand. I think that's the way they're going to go with it. And look, I'm totally excited to see which way they go. If they don't do that, that's fine. But if they do that, I think it's actually a pretty cool thing to do.
Keeping in mind they can borrow any aspect of Mara Jade's story as they want to.
Oh yeah, they
So-
can choose as they
Cherry
wish.
pick.
Yeah, so if they want to call her a completely new name, to honor the great Timothy Zahn, that's kind of cool as well. But you make a great point. She, in the story that is no longer canon, was supposed to be the Emperor's right-hand gal, and she is an assassin, and she takes, she just does these duties. So the fact that she's undercover as a rebel kind of borrows into this storyline, so it's something that we could actually see. And you're right, the unveiling.
I agree. That could be either way. It could be great. I think either way could be great. I actually prefer your version of it, John, where you could have Aileen Zahn, which is a nice tip of the cap to Timothy Zahn, and then eventually she becomes Mara Jade, and you lose your minds. And for those of you who don't know who Mara Jade is, we were talking before about the Thrawn trilogy, and she is a very prominent character who eventually becomes Luke Skywalker's wife. Now, this is also something before where we had a rumor that Donald Gleason was going to play Luke's son.
Right.
Now, if that is the case, and you do set up Aileen Zahn, eventually Mara Jade, this could set into some new comic books or some new games or new novels or maybe even a new spin-off movie. Who knows? But what it does, it's very interesting to me. I hope it happens. I think I love Mara Jade as a character, and the fact I think she'll be the next Inquisitor, and she'll be the one who. It's a matter. I got to talk to somebody at WonderCon, and I asked them. I don't want to give away too much about who this person was, but had a lot of inside information about Rebels Season 2. Said that it had the tone of the original movies, way more than like how the last couple episodes of Rebels did, this even more so. And he said, and wait until you see Vader. And I go, wait, Vader's in it a lot? And he just goes like this. like you haven't seen anything yet. So Vader, possibly Mara Jade, the Ahsoka Tano Vader matchup. There's a lot to look forward to in Season 2. Okay. Maud, so do you think that Mara Jade will pop up? What do you?
I just think she looks like Femshep from Mass Effect.
Which is also has a somewhat of a Star Wars connection. If you have the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic, which was written by Drew Karpyshyn, one of the writers who used to work at BioWare, who also wrote Mass Effect. So And this is just a small
Strong
tidbit.
female
Yeah.
characters for
All
the
right.
win.
Well, what is next in the world of canon?
Well, we've been hearing a lot about the new Battlefront Star Wars game, but it turns out the standalone Han Solo game is getting a little bit more attention as well. We may see the first glimpse of this game as soon as E3, which is the Electronics Expo, Entertainment Expo, which happens in LA every single year in June, which I have been to for the last 3 years. If we can get hands-on this game, Visceral is in charge.
There's a pun. There's a pun.
Huh?
See.
Yeah, so apparently this one, they're leaving Celebration to look at Star Wars Battlefront, but we can, see our first glimpse that Visceral is getting their little version of the Han Solo game. This is a young Han that we're going to see following around during his scoundrel days.
I love it. And there's also rumors that they were going to take elements of that 1313 game that we talked about it here a couple episodes ago. I think this is cool. I think that this is a way that you can ultimately tell a cool Han Solo story, still make it look like Harrison Ford, still give us that episode 4 feel.
Picture.
Yeah. Now I wonder if they can get Harrison Ford to do his voice. Is what could be interesting. You don't
He
necessarily.
He sounds
old.
so different today than he does in the
Anthony and
originals.
Gruber, the kid who's going to be Age Adeline. If they wanted to get him to voice Han Solo, he totally could. And there was rumors that he had a voice in Rebels. It would be interesting. But this is really cool to see more footage than this. And also the question now, how much more video game? We know Battlefront. We know we're getting Battlefront.
Yep.
Maud and I are going to get to see a lot of Battlefront. This is rumored. I also happen to think that they're going to announce Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And I would almost say it's a prediction that they're going to announce the new Knights of the Old Republic. But as far as this goes, it's very exciting to me because of what they can do. You don't have to worry about who's playing him. Is it going to be Aaron Paul? No, it's going to be Harrison Ford's face, basically. And have someone do his voice. But do you like the idea of this game?
Well, the idea of the game, yeah. But I can't be fake fanboyish and say, oh, I'm so excited for it. Well, I don't know anything about it yet. We know next to nothing. Cool idea, doing a game based on young Han Solo. Absolutely, let's move forward with it. Let me understand what this game is going to be. We don't even know what genre of game it's going to be yet.
Oh, so it's totally going to be a third-person shooter, action-adventure.
I agree.
Yeah,
think so.
probably. But I mean, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till I see a little bit about the game to see if the game actually could be any good. Like, it's not like Battlefront. We've seen so much about Battlefront, and I know why I'm excited about Battlefront. So just give me a little bit of time with the Han Solo one.
I'm just glad that 1313's not dead. Yeah, sure. This is kind of like the Frankenstein version of it, where they're
their
chopping and
work's not
changing.
dead, right.
Yeah. I mean, this was originally going to be about Boba Fett. Now it's going to be about a young Han Solo. What we do know is that they have taken some of the team members from Naughty Dog, which are used to doing Uncharted, which is the third-person action adventure with shooter elements, and they've kind of put them onto this game. I think I would be more excited to play this game because I am more of an action adventure girl than I am a first-person shooter kind of gal. Will I still play Battlefront? Yeah, until my fingers bleed. Right. But I'm so glad that once I finished it, there's just going to be another game waiting for me, pretty much.
Well, that's also the question because Star Wars games, even during the Legends period, were very, very popular when they were done.
Oh, yeah.
So, and we haven't gotten that wave yet. We've gotten a wave of comics. We've gotten the wave of books. We haven't had the wave of games yet. And I believe that they're coming with both Battlefront, Knights of the Republic, all that stuff.
Just want to bring up a little comment about the fact that we are already kind of putting the wheels in motion to have a replacement Harrison Ford. The guy's still alive, and it's like, oh no, we've got a young version of you, so you're good, you can retire.
Yeah, but we're talking about a 30-year younger.
They're going to do a spin-off eventually of him, so they got to start looking. And also, I think this is going to gauge the interest of, because they're planning to do a spin-off movie of him. It's been rumored so many different times. I think you're also going to go, well, look how the numbers did for this game. And this is about him. Just wait until the movie. But all right, that is it. That is the canon conversation. Now, if you're not familiar with the show, every week we have a segment here called Address the Council. One of the council members has a specific topic that they want to address. We listen, you comment. And this week, Obi-John Kenobi has the table. He's got the floor. John, take it away.
My fellow council members, this past week, as I had mentioned earlier in the show, I had a friend of mine who had not seen the original trilogy. And we had a chance to sit down and show her the original trilogy. And it was a great experience, yes. However, it reminded us once again about the pain and the unfortunateness of the fact that we do not have the original trilogy anymore. We have the special editions. Well, granted, the special editions are my favorite versions of the Star Wars posters, actually, even more so than the great posters we have hanging on the wall here. I absolutely adore the special edition posters. I think they're fantastic, and they look great hanging side by side on a wall. They really do. So we sat down and we watched the original trilogy. We watched that ill-conceived reinsertion of the Jabba scene in front of the Millennium Falcon. Han, you're the best, my boy. Man. Okay, yeah, he did that. We saw the gratuitous, unnecessary dewbacks walking around. It's like, hey, this scene was perfect. No, let's have a dewback look into the camera and wink. You know, we have the like completely misguided idea of let's just have Boba Fett walk into the scene and then
right.
look at the camera. I'm Boba Fett, and then walk off straight. You know, there's no denying, there's no getting around. I'm in full agreement with the vast majority of Star Wars fans out there. The special editions are a bad idea, and we really wish we had the originals. But that being said, I submit to the council, my fellow council members, it's time to embrace the special editions. And here's why. You know, watching those movies with my friend who had never seen them before and seeing her light up and love the original trilogy for the first time. She had never seen the other ones, which she would have liked more. But seeing her watch them and love them and embrace them and understanding the fact that, you know what, folks, as we were talking a little bit before earlier, as far as my understanding goes, the originals that we knew, they're gone. George Lucas is not going to let them come back. There's no point in us holding on hope and whatever, and then maybe those ones will come back. Maybe if we keep calling for them enough. Maybe if we keep complaining for them enough, eventually they'll come back. They're not coming back. I've just had to come to the point where I accept that. And in accepting that, and while I acknowledge that the special editions are slightly a step down from the originals in all their glory, fact of the matter is, I sat with somebody who watched them for the first time, and I saw them light up the way I lit up when I was a little kid watching those movies for the first time. They're still Star Wars. They're still glorious. It's still Obi-Wan Kenobi taking on a young Luke Skywalker, taking out the Sand People, although, you know, there's that now it's kind of weird cry he does as he's coming over the hill.
That's Blu-ray. That's Blu-ray.
That's Blu-ray. That's Blu-ray.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we have Darth Vader yelling, no, to the Emperor and throwing him, instead of, as you so accurately put it, that badassity so silent in that, you know, all that.
But that's also, but to go, special edition doesn't have that. That's I wish, because your point on special edition I think should stay. But I'll let you finish.
But anyway, there's a lot of those types of things throughout the special edition stuff like that. Granted, but you know what? They're small things. Yes, we have the rock band now playing in Jabba's palace.
Nice noodles.
Yes, we have that awful new end song at the end of Return of the Jedi instead of that great tribal music that the Ewoks used to play. Yeah, but these are all moments in a grand galaxy-spanning trilogy that is still there and still maintains its identity. Are they as good as the originals? No, they're not. But they're still Star Wars, and they're still pretty damn awesome. For that, it's time to just, while we don't have to say we like them as much, let's at least time to acknowledge it's time to embrace the special editions.
Now it is up to you guys, the council out there. You heard Obi-John Kenobi's point. How do you feel about it? This is where you guys get to address the council in your own way by commenting. Have a conversation about it. Do you like the special editions? Granted, the Blu-ray and the special editions are a tad different. Some of your favorite moments, some of the moments that stink, go ahead and comment and let your voices be heard. Speaking of your voices being heard, we move on to our next segment, which is the Twitter questions.
Do we not respond to the council question?
I mean, we can respond to. It was just I'm trying to.
We're running out of time.
Good, cool. I'll comment in the video as well myself. Alrighty, it is time for Twitter questions. The first is from Dylan Payton, who says, "What's your favorite order to watch the films in?" Mine is the machete order.
Maud, why don't you go first?
I've only ever done it one way, 1 through 6.
That's it, really?
Yeah.
The first movie you've ever seen was Episode 1? Is that the first time?
Oh, no. I watch them all over the place. I'll take whatever I can get. But if I'm watching them in an order, if I'm sitting there with the goal to watch all 6 movies in a space of a week or so, I will watch them 1 to 6. I will not take away Episode 1.
No, 4, 5, and 6. The other 3 don't exist.
You won't do it.
Well, it may be time to embrace the special editions. It ain't time for me to acknowledge them.
If you had to.
Oh, God, if I absolutely had to. The machete order is actually a very well constructed, a very well reasoned out order for doing it. So if I absolutely had to, I would agree with the question.
What was the machete order one more time?
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the machete order is Episode 4, 5, then jump back to 3.
Yep.
And then it's 6, and then 1 and 2.
Really?
I believe that's what it is. I think. You can Google that. I might be.
I think you just doubled up on something there, but
I don't think. I thought the machete order
look it up,
took away 1 altogether.
No, I think you're right. I think it
that
starts
was we've talked about this before. That's the way I would do it. If you ask me, my favorite one is my favorite way to watch it. If I was going to watch them in general, would be 4, 5, Clone Wars. then Sith, and then 6, and then I don't even watch 1 and 2. That's
Right.
that's my order.
But you made me put them in there.
I said if I had to, I would also do it.
All right, fair enough.
Next question comes in from Nicholas Sergi, who says, is there AMC Jedi Council in the next 2 weeks? This week, some of AMC... You bastard. You really... This week, some of AMC are going to watch Ultron, and next week is Star Wars Celebration. Will we be getting AMC Jedi Council?
Well, hopefully the answer to the Ultron part is happening right now, because yes, we're airing this today. Now, next week, this is the exciting part. We are going to do, and this came from a lot of council meetings.
Oh, yes.
We are going to be doing a show directly from Star Wars Celebration. The big day is Thursday. J.J. Abrams and Kathleen Kennedy kick off at 10 in the morning. We will be there for that. We'll be watching everything that goes down, the Trank, the Edward stuff, all of that. Maud was able to hook up the Battlefront panel. Her and I will be reporting on that. So Thursday, there's a lot of cool stuff.
So that's embargoed on Thursday. We'll be doing an extra separate video on the side that will be uploaded the day after.
Which will also come with you and I are going to be watching Rebels, the first 2 episodes of Rebels, and being able to
of Rebels
season 2, episodes 1 and 2, and being able to go to the press conference to hear some of the new cast, maybe some new characters. There's going to be a lot of stuff. So we will be doing a lot. I think maybe anywhere from 20 to 45-minute version. We don't know. But John, are you excited about Celebration?
Oh my God!
Are you kidding me? Get out of here!
And the only reason for the is because my experience of Celebration is going to be different from yours. The best part about Celebration is going to be that opening thing where you got JJ and Kathleen, and because of responsibilities here, I can't be at that.
Yeah. You can't go to it. I'm going to be there and you're not. I'm going to love it. It's going to be awesome. And I'm going to spend the next week telling you how cool it's going to be.
I will, of course, see it 5 minutes later all online. But that being so, because that's the biggest, most important, the best part about it is the part I got to miss.
Right.
I've seen and I own all the Star Wars movies. I don't have to be at Celebration to watch them. Although watch them on the big screen would be pretty damn cool. So for the rest of it, would I be there if I can? I am going to go. I am going to be there. You're
going to geek out. It's going to be like Christmas once you're there on.
But the biggest geek out part is going to be the part that I'm missing, that all the rest of you get to enjoy, and that you guys get to enjoy.
I think we're going to get some more stuff. I think we're going to get something they haven't, some kind of surprise thing that we get, whether that be on Friday or Saturday. But I think your tune's going to change afterwards too, just being around all of it. But Maud, so you're pretty pumped overall. Obviously, it's a stupid question, but just to hear you say it.
I can't wait.
Yeah, she's losing her mind. Okay, let's move to the next question.
The next one is kind of a double up. Yes, it's a bit of a double up question here from Jim Chimney, who says, why do you say that we could see Darth Plagueis, dollar in the Stormtrooper helmet please, in episode 7? Didn't Palpatine kill him, as he said to Anakin in episode 3? And then a follow-up from Alejandro Acosta, who said, why do you think Darth Plagueis is going to return?
It's a fantastic question that I've been getting all over the place. Every time I say Plagueis is going to return, people say, why?
We don't have
How?
to be here.
How's it going to happen? No, but it's also going to be, because you guys don't necessarily think
it's going to be back, maybe.
Okay, now the reason why I think it's possible is because I think this is a way to tie in everything. Because ultimately, Darth Plagueis served as the Yoda to Palpatine. He really was. And what did he say in episode 3? He was the one person who was trying to cheat death. Now, another rumored title a long time ago was the Ancient Fear that came out. I think that also plays into Darth Plagueis. I think that the fact that Andy Serkis was rumored at one point to be a motion capture character, I think that if you make Darth Plagueis from what he was rumored to be, which is an alien species of immune, I think that he could also play that character. And they've rumored to it, and they've mentioned him again in Tarkin. He keeps popping up from time to time. I think it's just an ultimate way to tie in the movies if they were going to do it. So that's why. And as far as him, didn't Palpatine kill him? Remember, he said he was the one Sith who thought he could cheat death the same way Yoda found a way back, the same way Qui-Gon. Not that way, but in a Sith way. So that's just my opinion on it. I might be completely wrong. But John, I know you're on the opposite, and you don't think there's a chance in hell.
Well, I'm not. No, I'm not as far on the opposite as you might think. I mean, look, if I had to take a guess, my guess is no. But there are several story devices that are in place that if they chose to do it, they could. Remember the nerd principle. no one ever really dies. Just because, Palpatine doesn't necessarily mean he's dead. He could be posing he could be a great new threat. There's a lot of different things that you could do with the character if they so chose. Now, I don't think they're going to do it, but it's not as completely unlikely as some people might think. It's definitely a possibility.
Darth Maul's back. He was sliced in half and pushed down the shaft, and he's back. He came back with mechanical legs. Nothing's impossible. No one ever really dies. I'm just at the point, though, now, Christian, where you have mentioned this so many times. I just want you to be wrong.
Yes, I love being proven right.
I know. So that's my take on it. Last question, though.
All right, last question.
Travis Lindenberger says, do you guys think that Disney will ever turn one of their canon books into a movie? Like, if Aftermath is awesome, if that's an awesome book, will it be changed into a movie?
Aftermath will be very hard to turn into a movie because you'd have to recast Han Solo, Leia, all of them. That's a very hard
order,
one.
man.
But I don't think that means that a canon book cannot be turned into a movie. For example, if, let's say, the Darth Bane trilogy, again by Drew Karpyshyn, was made today as canon, and it had the kind of response that it did from fans to play something in the Old Republic, I think that there's a way that you could take a book and make it a movie. Is it likely? I don't know. I think you get into tricky waters, but it's likely. I don't know. How do you guys see it any other way?
I think we were talking about the part where what kind of Star Wars fan are you? Are you a consume everything Star Wars fan, or are you just the movies? I don't think that they're going to use these books and comics, those stories, which are kind of exposition, which is just filling in the blanks between the movies, into a movie. It just won't fit into the timeline, even though we're getting spin-offs. I think the books are going to stay as an extended version of the crawl, which is just great exposition to catch you up and fill you in and see what the adventures are happening, if it's one day or 20 years in between the series of the movies.
It goes back to John's point, though, with this, is that if the problem is if they took a book and made it into a movie, they can't change anything.
Yeah.
They can't change anything.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. If they had a story for a book that was good enough to make into a movie, they'd make it into a movie. They wouldn't turn it into a book.
Yeah.
And as of right now, there's not a great batting average for the novels so far. Tarkin, here's the thing. Because Vader's got a mask on, there's no other recognizable characters other than the Emperor and Tarkin himself. But it's been so long since the original, and it's supposed to be a younger Wilhelm Tarkin, that you could get another actor and do that. There's some possibilities there. But honestly, I think even moving forward, if they had a story they thought was good enough for a movie, they wouldn't let it be turned into a book. They'd make it into a movie.
I agree. And just like always, you guys comment and tell us what you think. Comment on all the questions. Do a lot of discussion there amongst your fellow council members. Did you have something
It's Wilhuff Tarkin.
Wilhuff. I had
Wilhelm.
Wilhelm, didn't I?
You said
It's
Wilhelm.
Wilhuff.
Yeah.
It's Wilhuff.
Okay, sorry.
Because of the Wilhelm scream you had.
Yes. No, exactly. That's totally what was
that's
the
what it was.
Wilhelm scream.
So that is episode 5 of Jedi Council. Next week, like we said, very special, straight from Star Wars Celebration. Make sure you check all of us out on Twitter. Look at all our updates. Make sure you check us all out on Instagram, because we're going to be tweeting and posting like crazy people. But that is today's episode. I'd like to thank my esteemed council. First, Queen Amadala, where can the rest of the council find you?
If you'd like to follow the Adventures of Celebration, definitely follow me on Twitter at Maud Garrett, and Instagram, just search Maud Garrett as well.
And Obi-John Kenobi, where can they find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and on Facebook at John Campea. And for lots of pictures and reactions from Star Wars Celebration, and for our reaction from Age of Ultron tonight, make sure you're following the AMC Movie News crew on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow us there just at AMC Movie News.
And I'm Christian Harloff, at Christian Harloff on both Twitter and Instagram. And make sure every week, if you want to get your Twitter questions on the council, hashtag AMC Jedi Council. Spread the word to your fellow Star Wars fans. Let them know about the show, because that's how the council grows. So from the AMC Movie Studios, may the Force be with you. See you next time.
Always.